Hi. So, why in the world did Stop Trafficking US do a conference on vicarious trauma with law enforcement? Like, what does that have to do with sex trafficking? What does that have to do with child sexual abuse prevention? Like, why did you do that? So, the issue of sex trafficking is multifaceted, right? So if we want to end trafficking, then we want to end the thing that precedes sex trafficking, and we want to prevent it from happening. And how we and also in preventing it from happening, we want to support all those that work towards preventing it from happening. So, if child sexual abuse is the genesis, is the beginning of the ripple effect of kids being incarcerated, kids are addicted, kids are acting out sexually and violently towards each other. Kids are dropping out of school, they're suicidal, they're promiscuous, they're having children, they're all of these different ripple effect. Okay, and then we know they grow up. And here in Maine, just over a week ago, we had our first and hopefully last mass shooting. And what do we know about human beings that do violent crimes? 99% of the time, they have a high ACE score. They have lots of traumas in their life, and those traumas add up to a high adverse childhood experiences score. So if we want to end or greatly diminish the kind of people who do scientific experiments on animals, who are crazy politicians, who instigate wars or support wars or violence, who decimate Mother Earth, who, when you think about the unthinkable, you think about Epstein, and you think about the people who knew about Epstein and didn't do anything about it, or I don't know everybody's name, but the gymnastic coach, the football coach, the priest, the clergy, the Boy Scouts, all of this stuff, right? And you think about this world we live in, right? We think about crimes against children on online sexual exploitation. We think about bullying. We think about the parents who are pretending to be their children and bullying other children online. All this sort of crazy, bad behavior. When we think about crazy, violent, abusive behavior, and we're like, what in the world is happening? I'll tell you what's happening most of the time. Now, there's mental illness, and I'm not discounting true mental illness, but the vast majority of the time, children who are abused and neglected, growing up without proper healing, have this ripple effect out as they get older, and then they're just wounded children in a grown-up body, right? Doing all of these crazy things, and we're like, well, what happened? Well, let's look back at the genesis of where it happened. So, how are we going to make an impact? Well, we're going to make an impact by prevention through education. So most people just aren't effectively educated. They know, but they don't get it, right? So we're going to do that. We're going to support, educate, and offer resources to those people like teachers, school bus drivers, doctors, prosecuting attorneys, child advocates, foster care, law enforcement. So if we've got some good guys, and the good guys are the true good guys, and they're out there and they're trying to, help as much as they can and rescue children and stop the offenders from offending, but they're like losing their cookies because there's so much trauma. And they even have people trying to defund the very work that they're doing, right? So if there is a way that we can educate them, help them. Ooh, the wind is blowing. Can you see all the leaves falling? That's crazy. See? I love Maine. I just love it so much. If we can help, if we can educate, if we can connect them with other people, if we can support them, then we want to do that. So it makes total sense that we want to encourage, support, bring the latest information to the law enforcement on, hey, nationwide, when law enforcement groups do ABC, then they are less traumatized and more resilient and can stay with a higher level of job satisfaction. Now it's raining. I thought, yeah, do this outside, Catherine. It's so much nicer if you just do your little thing outside in the Maine woods, so people aren't just looking at you, but they're getting to have a nice Maine experience. Look, it's raining. Right. So my friend Catherine, who does some of our social media, was like, just do a little 3-minute video and just let them know, like, why we're even doing the conference on vicarious trauma. So there are lots of moving parts, right? There's lots of moving parts. And if the bullseye is we want people to stop being sexual with children, we want all abuse of any child to end, period. We just want all abuse of children to end. And that's the goal. That's the bullseye. Then what are all the different ways? What are all the different paths that we can utilize to increase our odds of reaching that goal? So we've identified who turns children in the most for abuse, teachers. Who rescues, law enforcement. Who sees things that maybe other people don't see, bus drivers, child advocates. Where do offenders go? They go where kids go. So groups, camps, faith-based organizations, groups. Okay, so who are their leaders and how can we educate them and teach them about best practices? No alone time. You can't go camping with a child by yourself. You can't take a child home by yourself. There's got to be accountability because we want to prevent access, right? So how does somebody even abuse a kid? They have to have access. They have to have actually 3 things. They have to have the inclination to abuse. They have to have a vulnerable child. All children are vulnerable. I think all human beings are vulnerable. And access. So that access is like so key. It's so important. So how can we get it through to every all the people who are a part of all these different situations where an offender can have access. And how can we explain it to them in a way that they get it, and they get it so well that they put in policies and procedures so that everybody is on the same page on how we are going to safely interact with children in a way that keeps them safe. So, that's what we're doing. That's why we're doing it. And I hope my, 10-minute explanation explained why we did a conference on vicarious trauma, and why on November 18th we're doing a day-long conference, virtual, for faith communities and communities at large. But there'll certainly be a large segment of that education that is primarily for faith communities, regardless of the faith. You have an altar in the woods. You have a yurt, you have a church with steeple, you have a cathedral, whatever it is. If there are children who come and there are adults interacting with the children, how can we keep everybody safe? So and it's free. All of the things that we do is free. We felt that sometimes the cost for these educational things, made people not want to attend. And we're like, let's just take that off the table, because we want everybody to attend so that we're all, as a community, the global human being tribe, that we're all on the same page, that what's important to us all is to stop child abuse in all its forms, period. Don't you love that sound? A rainy day in the woods. Beautiful. Okay, bye. 12 minutes.